stomp him in the nuts. Stomp him in the nuts. I'ma stomp him in the nuts. 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 I'ma stomp him in the.
Yo, what's good? You know I had to put that song when I'm talking about the notorious one, Antonio Tijuana Tornado Margarito. Now, I'm going to talk about Cotto's rematch against Margarito. And to me, this is Miguel Cotto's greatest victory and his sweetest victory. I don't think it's his best performance. I think the best performance in his career was his fight against Mayweather, where he fought a close fight and he wasn't expected to even make it close at all. He was absolutely not expected to win it, and he didn't. But he gave a great performance that night, and I think that's his best performance in his whole career. But I think this is his best victory. And even though, yes, I talked to Fight Critic on Twitter earlier, and he said Shane Mosley. And though I agree that Mosley is his best opponent that he beat, I don't think it's his best victory. Because I don't think beating you could say slightly faded Shane Mosley and winning a razor sharp decision, Shane Mosley still to this day says that he got robbed in that fight. So there you have that. But I just think getting revenge on Margarito and his performance in that night, the way he outboxed him, the way he fought him, and the way he stopped him, I think that's what makes this victory so great. And I'm going to talk about his performance in this fight and a little controversy with the ending, because where there's Margarito, there's controversy because he is notorious, right? So Cotto started the fight jabbing and moving to his left, right, throwing that left hook, that jab to Margarito's right eye. Soon that eye, I think it was around 4 or 5, his eye started bleeding. It became closing, and Cotto kept aiming for that eye, throwing fast combinations, beautiful combinations, man. His performance was almost flawless, man. Almost. But he threw some great combinations, straight punches. He really didn't fight on the inside. He hardly threw any body shots. He threw a lot of punches to that right side. Most of his punches were to Margarito's right eye. And that was a very smart move. He was with Pedro Diaz, Cuban trainer, and you could see that influence on him this night. He fought like a Cuban that could hit hard, which is a Puerto Rican, right? So he fought like a Cuban Puerto Rican, which really helped him in this fight. This was the fight that got him the Mayweather fight, actually. So his next fight was against Mayweather. But around 7, Margarito started to come on strong, started landing some body shots, started landing some hooks to his face and some body shots. So it wasn't all Miguel Cotto. He wasn't dominating. I mean, he was winning, clearly winning, but at that point you could see Margarito coming on and coming on and coming on. But in those rounds, his eye became shutting. It closed completely. It began to close completely, I believe, in around round 8. Yeah, well, after round 8, his eye was completely shut, and the referee, or was it was the doctor, was thinking about stopping it, but he let Margarito continue for round 9, and that's when the fight got stopped. As you can see right here, his eye, it got completely shut, but in no point of the fight, he was bleeding from his eye, but in no point of the fight was Margarito hurt. Did he look like he could have been stopped? Yes, his eye was shut, but that was it. And you could make the argument, this is the argument the doctor made, that they stopped the fight because of his history. Because in his last fight, I think it was his last fight, in this last fight against Pacquiao, we all know that Pacquiao pretty much broke Margarito's face. And so those issues continued in this fight, and that's why this fight was stopped. But Margarito was coming on strong, and in the first fight, he didn't knock him out until the 11th. So this fight was very, very similar to the first fight, just that in this fight, he had his eye problems, and Miguel Cotto had a better trainer. Those were the two key differences from the first fight from the second fight. All credit to Miguel Cotto. He had a great performance. But Margarito should have been able to continue this fight. 3 more rounds? I don't know how much more damage you could have done to the eye in 3 rounds, especially to a tough dude like Margarito, man. Could he have gone blind? Sure he could have. Sure. But at the risk of sounding crude, or that's the risk these fighters take. And that's the risk Margarito was willing to take. And besides that the eye was closed, he didn't show any problem, any signs of struggle seeing. He raised the fingers and he answered the right answer. He answered the right number to how many fingers he was holding and everything. So, was it the right decision that this fight could have been stopped? Doesn't matter. We don't know if it mattered. We don't know. We will never know. Margarito should have gotten that chance. He should have been able to finish the fight. That's 10, 11, 12. Who knows? He could have. He could have come on strong in those rounds and stopped Miguel Cotto. That's what I thought would have happened when this fight was announced. I thought Margarito had his number. And in those middle rounds, the later rounds, it kind of looked just that it was gonna happen just like the first round. So I think this fight could have continued. Margarito should have had that opportunity to continue. Another thing I want to talk about is these HBO commentators, man. They kept saying, "Oh, it doesn't look like it has the same effect as the first fight. These punches don't look like..." Man, shut up. Shut up. Cotto fought a much better fight. He has a much better trainer. And we all know what they were alluding to, the illegal hand wraps that he got caught with against Mosley. There is no evidence. If you want to take that little picture that Cotto shows as evidence, go ahead. But why didn't you take that to court and sue Margarito for manslaughter then? If that's such a legit picture. There is no legit evidence that he used that against Cotto. And these HBO commentators were already condemning Margarito. They were condemning him. Oh, it doesn't look like he has the same power as the first one, that they don't have the same effect as the first fight. Man, they were they were provoking, man. Just Manny Stewart had to be. You know Manny Stewart. He's always making sense. He's like, well, to me it looks just like the first fight, and this fight did look like the first fight. It did, and I wish it could have continued, but it is what it is. Maybe Margarito would have been running around with one eye now if the fight had continued for 3 rounds. I doubt it. But I think Cotto would have slowed down. If he wouldn't have got knocked out, I still think Margarito would have won the last 2 rounds at least, But it is what it is. And Cotto won, and this was his greatest victory of his whole career. After the fight, he was enjoying it. And I think he enjoyed it a little too much. I mean, it is a sweet victory, but you didn't do the same to him as he did to you. He practically freaking destroyed your face. You just stopped him. The doctor stopped him. Cotto didn't even stop him. Margarito is kept saying, like, pega como niña. Pega como niña. Like, this one hits like a girl. He never hurts me. So that's what Margarito did. And Cotto is like, he means nothing to me. He means nothing. So It was a sweet victory. I think Cotto celebrated, overemphasized it a little bit, but I don't blame him for that. So, anyway, tell me how you see this. Should the fight have continued? Is it a good stoppage? Does it make a difference? So, yeah, leave your comments, and thank you everybody for watching, and you guys have a great day.